Buddha declared this Metta Sutta to 500 monks who had gone to the forest to practice meditation. And Buddha said to these monks, if you want to dwell penetrating the state of calm, and if you are skilled in your good, you should practice three kinds of training. Monks should be able, upright, very upright, obedient, gentle, and not conceited. Santosako. Monk should be contented. The monk who is contented with what he gets, with what he has, and with what occurs is Santosako, contented monk. That monk or yogi who is not contented with what he gets would either endeavor with anxiety to look for what he wants, and he feel unhappy and angry when he could not find what he wants, and he look for more when he found what he wants, etc. This type of monk or meditator is far from having metta. For the monk or meditator who is contented with whatever he gets, as he or she has peace of mind, being without unhappiness and anger regarding not finding what he wants, he has suitable condition for metta to occur in him. So Santosako, this contentment quality is taught as a basic practice for metta meditation. Dividing the phrase in three parts as Saka, Santa, and Sama. The commentary took their meanings and defined the phrase in this way. From Saka, it becomes Sake Nato Saka, a monk or meditator who is satisfied with his or her own possession. He or she is satisfied with his own possession. From Santa, it becomes Sante Nato Saka, a monk or meditator who is satisfied with what exists. From Sama, it becomes Saminato Sago, a monk who is satisfied equally with both the good and bad. So the monk who is contented with his own possession and is without agitation at the time of accepting them and at the time of using them, whether the requisites are good or bad, whether they are well made or not well made, is said to be contented with his own possession. Sakina to Saka, the monk who is contented with what he got and that which is with him is said to be contented with whatever requisites that exist in him. As Sama means neither being delighted at pleasant object nor angry with unpleasant object. The monk or meditator who is contented with all objects, with that evenly balanced mind, it is said to be contented equally. So Buddha and 500 arahants practice contentment. So how Buddha and 500 arahants were practicing contentment when they confronted with scarcity of food? At one time, 12 years after having attained the Buddhahood, Buddha went to the town called Virinja in western part of India. Buddha sat down underneath a neem tree called Naleru near the Naleru town, Virinja town. The tree was so named after the ogre who had taken possession of it, just as we have in some places certain trees said to have been possessed by some spirit and called by the name of that spirit. So with the Buddha were 500 bhikkhus, 500 monks. At that time, a certain Brahmin who was a resident of that Virinja town came to the Buddha and accused Buddha not paying respect to the elders. And Buddha gave the accusing Brahmin a summon, and the Brahmin attained the state of Sotapanna. So the Brahmin requested the Buddha to spend the current vasa at that town. And Buddha agreed his request. And Buddha and his 500 disciples spent the vasa Virinja. The Brahman of Virinja had requested the Buddha to stay for the vasa for 3 months staying, but he had not offered to build the monastery for Buddha and the 500 disciples to seek shelter. So the 500 disciples had to seek shelter wherever available near the tree. The shelter for 500 monks were probably the smaller neem tree around that big neem tree. As there was a drought in that year, the monks did not have trouble from getting wet with rain. During the stay, Mara was doing his evil work. Mara made the people, town people, living within a radius of 1 yojana, roughly 6 miles, ignorant of the Buddha and the Sangha. Besides, there was a famine, no rain at that time. People themselves were supplied with food under the ration system. It is like people waiting at the uh, food bank. In those times, communication was so bad that distribution of goods must have been in a disastrous condition. So the people were starving. There was no one in the town who would offer food to the Buddha and the Sangha. At that time, 500 horse dealers from northern part of India arrived at the town. As there was famine, there was no one to buy a horse, but rains had come to their home district and they were obliged to remain in that Wirinja town. These horse dealers were willing to offer food to the Buddha and his disciples, but as they were mere visitors or travelers, they had no facility to make the offering a daily affair. The horse dealer had with them a large supply of pulaga or a tough kinds of wheat for feeding their horses. So that kinds of wheat could be unhusked and boiled and eaten. The term pulaga has been often translated as mayor rice, a tough kinds of wheat. The horse dealer fed their horses only once instead of twice daily as they used to do, and offered the horse food to the Buddha and the Sangha. As the horse dealer were just visitors, they could not afford to cook the wheat and offer the cooked meal. So the Sangha, the monks, had to make do with what was offered to them. The tough wheat had to be boiled, and the boiled wheat set in the sun to dry, and then dry wheat had to be crushed or pounded and wetted with water and taken as a meal. The work had to be done by groups of 8 or 10 monks each. So the horse dealer offered butter and honey also. And Venerable Ananda mixed wheat with butter and honey and offered the meal to the Buddha. It is said that celestial beings, Deva, put their celestial food in the mixtures. Our Lord Buddha accepted the food and after taking it, spent the entire day sitting under the great neem tree and went into Plasmapati. All the 500 monks, with the exception of the Venerable Ananda, were Arahants. Venerable Ananda was then only a Sotapanna. So all the other monks were also sitting under their respected neem tree and entering into Plasmapati all days. In this manner, the Buddha and the 500 Arahants spent the entire Vasa at that famine-ridden Virinja place. There is an instant which is to be admired for the Buddha and his 500 disciples. To a person of ordinary intellect, this episode is not quite satisfactory one. He would probably ask why the Buddha who have for so many lifetimes done meritorious deeds and noble deeds should have been obliged to take these mean kinds of food, inferior food, and his disciples who were all arhants should have to take such inferior meal. Why Buddha and his disciples took such kinds of meal, inferior meal? The answer is simple. Both the Buddha and the Arahant were not exempt from the Loka worldly condition. Worldly condition, Loka are following us continuously, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes up, sometimes down, ups and down in our life. These are the nature of Loka. So Buddha and the Arahants were not exempt from the Loka ups and downs of life. There should be a short and satisfactory answer. The answer in Pali version in Abadan Pali text say that Posasaham Bhavasane Sawake Paribasaye Kadata Bonjata Maja Bonsata Salayo Tena Gama Vipagena Tema Sankhari Yawon Nimandito Byamanena Virinzaya Wasindata. That means Buddha said, during the time of Posa Buddha, I told his disciples to eat inferior rice, not the softer and finer kind rice. This I said by way of threat in retribution in unwholesome results for this use of abusive language. I had accepted the request of Virinja Brahmin and spent the Vasa in Virinja town and was obliged to eat the rough and tough horse food of low quality wheat. It may be asked, if it would not be better for the Buddha to avoid this particular town, which was bewitched by Mara, and go to another place to spend his Vasa? Retribution or akusala vipaga, unwholesome result will follow the Buddha wherever he went. And so it makes no difference whether he stay for the Vasa at Virinja or Aswala. Mara would follow him and play his tricks upon the residents who would have offered him and his disciple food. It had been better that he stay at Virinja because it was there the horse dealers stopped and offered at least low quality wheat to Buddha and his disciple. Then it may be asked why Mara did not play his tricks upon the horse dealer too. Well, Mara was a bit late. He had bewitched the town people. By then, the horse dealer had already made an offer of the mayor rice to the Buddha and his disciple. Anything that had been offered to the Buddha could not be disturbed with by anybody. Buddhana Jivita Sandaseka Kinaji Andrayogato Buddhana Abhihatana Satona Vichayana Naseka Kinaji Andrayogato. You may remember Dharana Preta. Anything that had been offered to the Buddha could not be disturbed with by anybody. That is what Milinda Pinya and commentary have said. Now we know why the Buddha had to pay for the abusive language he had used in an earlier existence. What about his 500 disciples? The 500 Arahant? We may take it that if such a personality as the would-be Buddha had made such a speech unwholesome, these 500 would-be Arahant must have committed similar akusala, unwholesome deeds in one of their previous existence. All we will have to think about is that if such a personality as the Buddha had to pay a unwholesome results in the form of being denied the gift or gain, we, ordinary person, will surely be faced with such an adversity one day, and all we must do is to follow the footsteps of the Buddha and endure difficulties. We should ponder in this way, and while being deeply respectful of the Buddha's patience and endurance, practice patience and endurance like him. We should also take notice of the patience and endurance of the Buddha's 500 disciples who were obliged to pound the tough rice and eat it. The kinds of rice much inferior to the meanest kinds what we have at present, and find admiration for them. So Buddha said to Ananda, Tongmehi sapurisehi vijitam. Ananda, you the good person have achieved success. You have conquered lobha, greed and mean desire. Buddha said to Ananda. And Buddha's conquest of the scarcity of food lay in his infinite patience and endurance. The village of Virinja was famine stricken, but nearby villages were not famine stricken. They were fine. But the Buddha disciple did not blame the Buddha for having stayed at Virinja village, famine stricken place. They all endure with patience. That is why Buddha said to his disciple Ananda that all his disciples had achieved success. Their conquest of lobha, greed, lay in the fact that these bhikkhu did not go for their alms food for a distance which can not return the same day, nor did they move to another place, thus breaking their vasa stay. Their conquest of their desire for obtaining food by base means lay in their refraining from advertising their noblessness. They can declare to the people that, oh, that monk is Arahant, he gained jhana. They can declare, they can advertise to get good food. But all the Arahants, they refrain from that advertising the noblessness, declaring to the people that they had attained Arahanthood, they had attained jhana, in order to make the people want to offer them alms food. So Buddha had praised the 500 monks for their conquest of greed and base desire, and Buddha predicted that in future times monks would become greedy. Buddha said, many of the monks of the future will be too choosy about the alms offered to them. They will say that that particular rice is too tough or too soft, that particular curry is salty or with too little salt, this particular curry is sour or cold. So monks should reflect very wisely in this case. So that is how Buddha and 500 Arahants practicing contentment when confronted with scarcity of food. And they had to encounter Loka worldly condition. 8 worldly conditions are following us continuously. Labo, alabo, yaso, ayaso, nindam basansa, sukhan, dukhan. Labo, alabos, gain and loss. Yaso, ayaso, having many friends and not having many friends. Nindam basansa, blame and praise. Sukha, dukkha, happiness and misery. So 8 Lokadhamma, 8 worldly conditions are following us continuously. Can you follow me? 8 worldly conditions. 8 Lokadhamma, Labo alabo, Yaso ayaso, Nindam basansa, Sukhan dukkhan. Gain and loss, having many friends, having no friends. Blame and praise, happiness and misery. So 8, among the 8, 4 are good and 4 are bad. Everybody likes the good 4, dislike the bad 4. But whatever is like or dislike, we all have to take in all the 8 Loka Dhamma. Nobody can get away from any of them. Nobody can flee from them all. Sometimes, Labha, we can have what we want to have. We can achieve our purpose. Sometimes Alaba, sometimes we may not get what we want to have, or we may lose what we has already had. Even if something remain with us all our life, we have to leave them when we die. So when we have lava gain, we will also have alaba loss, which follows it in its wake. Sometimes we may have friends, companions, complete family members follow us at one time, and we may be deprived of them at other times. Even Buddha, who had a large followers, was sometimes obliged to live alone, entering Vasa. All the other people cannot hope to be always well attended to. At last, when we die, we have to leave all our friends or our family or our companions. So yasa, ayasa, having many friends and having no friends. Yasa is always accompanied by ayasa. Sometimes we are praised because we deserve praise. It is good to get praise, but we have to work hard to deserve it. Only after we have striven hard, we get praise, real praise. We are obliged to go on working hard to keep up that kinds of value. Even then, if someone misunderstands or hates, or if something happened to occasion criticism or ridicule, we suffer a loss of value which we have been working so hard at keeping. So even the Buddha, who was so clean of faults, was subjected to criticize by some people. There is nothing to say about ordinary person. So praise is always accompanied by blame. And sukha dukkha, happiness and misery. Sukha and dukkha, pleasant and unpleasant, go together. If circumstances are favorable, we find happiness and prosperity. And if circumstances are unfavorable, we will be in distress. It is like walking. When walking, you stand only on left foot at a time while the right foot is being lifted. So also, sukha and dukkha, happiness and misery alternate each other. You are watching, you are feeling, Vedana, sometimes pleasant, 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 pleasant. When pleasant arises, there is no unpleasant, no neutral. Sometimes you have pain, unpleasant. You note pain, pain, pain. When pain arises, there is no pleasant and upeka. When there is upeka in neutral, there is no pleasant and unpleasant. So sukha and dukkha, happiness and misery, pleasant and unpleasant, alternate each other. We should receive the encounters of Loka Dhamma, worldly condition, with patience and understanding. Those who are incapable of patience and understanding are extremely glad and excited when they encounter the good things and are sorely dejected when they are in distress because of the bad circumstances or Loka Dhamma, worldly condition. The person in distress to receive the encounter of bad things in the manifestations of Loka Dhamma. If the person does not get the gifts of life or is deprived of what he has already got, if he is left alone with no friends, no companion, if the person is criticized, if the person suffers from sickness and destitution, he feels so and sad. That is always the case. There are instances in which people go mad or die because they are reduced to poverty. They feel gravely affected by the loss of their wealth. According to Jainism, property is the part of one's life. The greatest unwholesome is cruelty to life. And as property forms part of life, depriving one's property amounts to killing that person and is therefore grave unwholesome. Property, according to the religion, is the chief supportive factor of life. And so if the person is deprived of property, he may eventually die from lack of sustenance in life, which property gives. To say that property is part of life is quite logical according to its saying, alaba, loss could kill a person. One is unhappy if one is deprived of companion and attendance. One feels bad when one is subjected to criticism, and the gravity of unhappiness can be measured by the sharpness of criticism and the depth and breadth of the gratitude. Distress is great in the case of character loss. Physical discomfort of the lighter kind can be ignored, but serious sickness, serious diseases, and aid treatment of various degree are often intolerable and great unpleasant unhappiness prevail. To the ordinary person, Lokadharma worldly conditions are common experience. The arahants, that is, those who are clear of the mental defilements, kilesa, are also subjected to Lokadharma, though they can receive both the good and bad circumstances with equanimity. So in Mingala Sutta, Buddha said, Phaudasa Lokadamehi Chaitanya Sanagampati Asoka Virajankima Eta Mingala Muttama. You want to know? Open your book, page 135, Mingala Sutta. Is for the Arahants and Buddha. Page 135, number 11. Buddhasa Lokadamehi Chaitanya Sanagampati Asokam Virajang Khema Eta Mingala Muttama. Can you follow me? Buddhasa Lokadamehi Chaitanya Sanagampati Asokam Virajang Khema Eta Mingala Muttama. Buddhasa Lokadamehi Chaitanya Sanagampati Asoka Virajankima Eta Mingala Muttama. Recite 3 times. Buddhasa Lokadamehi Chaitanya Sanagampati Asoka Virajankima Eta Mingala Muttama. Buddhasa Lokadamehi Chaitanya Sanagampati Asoka Virajankima Eta Mingala Muttama. Buddhasa Lokadamehi Chaitanya Sanagampati Asoka Virajankima Eta Mingala Muttama. Translation, follow me. Facing the vicissitude of life, one's mind is unagitated, sorrowless, stainless, and peaceful. Read again. Facing the vicissitude of life, one's mind is unagitated, sorrowless, stainless, and peaceful. Facing the vicissitude of life, one's mind is unagitated, sorrowless, stainless, and peaceful. Okay. So the minds of an Arahant who is confronted with 8 Lokadharma is not moved. For him, there is no anxiety or dejection. For Arahants, there is no mental defilements, kilesa, and there are no dangers for him. It is the indeed highest state of blessing. The Buddha and all the Arahants are clear of all mental defilements, but as they are stay in this world, they are also unavoidably subjected to the laws of Dhamma, Loka Dhamma, worldly condition. So they will be so subjected till they pass into the state of nirvana. When they are thus attacked by the vicissitude of life, ups and downs of life, they are not mentally affected because they are capable of keeping their minds stable. So they are not overjoyed when prosperity comes, and they are not dejected when adversity visits them. So only arahants, not only arahants, but anagami can withstand the attack of Logadama. As for Sotapanna and Sagragami, they are affected to some extent because Sotapanna and Sagragami have not yet fully rid themselves of sensual desire, of Vyavara, evil, and anger dosa. So that is why rich man Anathapindika wept when he lost his young daughter Sumana Devi. Venerable Ananda cried when Buddha was about to pass away. And also Visakha when she lost one of her young granddaughter passed away. Yet the Sotapanna and Sagragami knew the Dhamma, and they were capable of resisting the attack of Dhamma to a certain extent, not to say of them, even the ordinary person could resist the attack if he would ponder upon the Dhamma to some extent. There is no other way to protect oneself from the ill effect of Logadhamma than pondering upon the Dhamma in which we all must take refuge. So of course we should try our best to, to fight the attack of Logadhamma by all available practical means. But if this fail, we should take refuge in the Dhamma. So the arahants who are under attack by Logadhamma are not moved, they are not shaken, as they have been clear of their mental defilements, and they are not afraid of the danger and disaster. So they accept the attack with great equanimity. That is the noblest blessing in this teaching. This particular Mingala is the highest order because it is the one fully possessed by Arahant. So these noble ones are never affected by the attack of Logadhamma, worldly condition. They remain calm and stable in mind. For them, there is always the mental stability which make for happiness. And Buddha placed this, the last blessing among the 30 blessings, Mingala Sutta, because it is the highest of all. So all yogis who are now practicing meditation are striving for attainment of this Mingala when confronted with worldly condition, ups and downs of life. You try to contemplate the every phenomena occurring at the six senses. You trying to capture the Namarupa mind and matter and their arising and disappearing nature. You trying to realize the nature, dukkha, anatta, impermanent, suffering, and non-self nature of these psychophysical phenomena. It is a way to be stable, not to be unshaken when confronted with worldly condition, ups and downs of life. So we will continue next time. We have to stop our discussion today by developing contentment practice, by practicing meditation diligently. May all yogis be stable when confronted with Logadharma, worldly condition, gain and loss, having many friends and not many friends, playing and praise, happiness and misery. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all meditators realize the real peace in the very near future.